Darren bringing us on. Just
We've done this before, right?
Starting the show the way LAFC ended that game. Please
It's tradition.
To Happy Birthday, your LAFC gateway drug. And of course, it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's 70. It's sunny. We could be outside spending time with our loved ones, with our families. But we're here with you to discuss what we can all agree was an incredible afternoon of Major League Soccer. I'm Travis Helwig.
I'm Darren Miller.
I don't want to put my name on
this. Alan Smithy is with us.
Is Darren very loud for everyone or just for me?
Oh. Yeah. All right. I'll adjust.
I just want to level is just through the roof, and he needs to just bring it down, Darren. Just bring it down a little bit.
I do want to say, yeah, everyone agrees that Darren's a little louder.
Good now.
Here were the storylines for this week, and I want to read them out loud to you. Are we back? Do we have the best defense in LAFC history? Will we see our new signing Under? I think a resounding no to all three storylines. How do you feel, Vin?
I mean, the first two were predicated on the starting lineup mostly, right? Like the biggest takeaway from this is the rotation, rough, very rough. And I think beyond that, you look at Seattle making rotation as well, and like the guys that they brought in, like they stood up and they were accounted for. Like they went out there and they played. The guys that we brought in that had a chance to maybe do something, they weren't good. They weren't good at all. Like every up and down the field, like not a single one. Well, I'll say Saldana was decent. I liked his combination with Delgado. Was interesting to start two former Galaxy players in the middle of the field, but it worked for those guys, but for everyone else it was pretty poor. And I think ultimately when you look at this, you say, okay, I don't really mind that. Like I don't really mind the loss, but now there is a little bit more pressure that's put on you on Tuesday, because if this was all done with an eye towards Tuesday, and I know you're up 3-0, but you're still going to Columbus.
Sorry, Vince. I'm just picking. There's like 45 comments. I think we're picking up your your headset.
Travis, your turn's next.
All right. Well, then I'm just gonna get up.
Figure out what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
We could. It was just muffled. We could hear you though, and
we could hear
what
you.
Were saying was good.
It was coming from. I think it's coming from your headset and not from your microphone. I think what you were trying. Say it again.
I'm trying to fix it.
Perfect. We got it. Okay. You said if this was done with an eye towards Tuesday, that's where we stopped you.
Yeah, if this was done with an eye towards Tuesday, you just put a lot more pressure on a team that already has a 3-0 lead going into Columbus. This was the right choice. Like, make the switches. I just think that the team, the actual guys on the field, put a lot more pressure on themselves and ultimately have to walk off that field knowing that, holy shit, you better take care of business on Tuesday because it was bad. It was bad to the level of it's okay to lose that game, but the way you lose that game, you start to question the professionalism of some of the players on that pitch. And so that's something that I think the coaching staff has to look at and say, these certain guys didn't deserve their spot, their chance, and they definitely didn't make any kind of put any evidence forward that they'll be getting another one anytime soon.
I mean, I never need to see Hassal ever again. I feel pretty good about never seeing Hassal play soccer for us ever again.
I'd be fine with that. Yep. I'm full up.
Yeboah looked like dog shit as well.
He was guilty for 3 goals.
Maybe they all have the Timothy Tillman illness. 2 of our players stayed home because they have an illness. Do they all have the norovirus? Is this because I was happy Jeff had the norovirus?
Oh, boy. You're the only one who made that connection, and now it feels like it must be that.
Was Jeff hanging out with the...
Oh, yeah. He's good friends with Smolikov.
I think what Jeff does is as soon as he's got something contagious, he makes sure to get as close to the players as possible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, it is... That was one of the worst games we've watched from our team in a long time. It was not fun. We can take solace in a couple of things. I want to just say a couple of happy feet because it's going to be a miserable live stream. So I just want to get a couple of the ones out of the way. First one, Nathan Ordaz, great cleanup goal. Second one, Martinez, the best moment we've seen from him in a black and gold jersey. That said, it happened in garbage time. Who cares? But it was beautiful. And I was ready to leave that game feeling okay with a 4-2. And that obviously didn't happen. And the other thing I would say is we could lose 4-1, 4-2, or 5-2 to Columbus on Tuesday and still move on in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. We could put in that performance and still move on. And I just want to make sure we remember that.
Yeah, I think we should just start the same guys then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
I would say the saddest foot of all is Marlon for me. Like the game we were okay with losing, with Chanel already gone and Marlon going down with what looked like a non-contact turf-related hamstring injury. It is. We're losing. We were just talking about how good Marlon has looked the last couple of games, right? Him and Aaron Long have found a good combination. He's strong back there. And the minute he came out of the game, things fell apart. I mean, he was in the game and it was, 1-1 at that point?
Well, remember when he came out of the game, then you push Yeboah into the back line and say like, hey, can you defend? No. And the answer is no.
Isn't Yeboah supposed to be a defender? He played defense for...
he's a wing back, and a wing back that's definitely more offensive than defensive. I mean, both guys, fullbacks are known much more for the way they play forward than backward. So Hollingshead and Yeboah as your guys protecting your two center backs that are your backup center backs, not a recipe for success.
Darren, anything to add, or your head just scratchy?
I am scratching my head, that's for sure. Look, I'm glad that the guys that needed the reps got the reps, and the guys that needed the rest got the rest. It kind of ends there. Plus, what Travis said, the two goals are from guys that you would want to score in exactly this game.
How many more goals does Nathan Ordaz have than
Olivier Jiroud? What about career? MLS career. I wonder how much of it was Hassal, honestly. Like, that was so bad that, like, at least it's like, 3-2 without Hassal? And then you're like, okay, I guess we knew we were going to lose.
No, look, Hassal was bad in moments, but the moments that he was bad in, they actually didn't score goals. Like, how many of those goals do you think are actually savable?
At least two of them.
At
least two. One was a nutmeg, first of all.
Which two?
I guess the last two, or no, the goal number 4 and goal number 2.
The Jordan Morris one is one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the Jordan Morris one. No, the last two, I think.
Jordan Morris from like 7 yards away. After
I would have stopped it.
Okay,
I would have stopped it. No problem.
Good to know. This is we've now reached the level of can we get some callers on to say like I would have scored an easy goal that someone missed? Anyone that wants to come on and remind me that they would have scored the goal that Jiroud missed against Minnesota, I'd love to hear it. Like, come on.
No, Hassal was not good. I think
he didn't look good. He didn't look good. Like he had some moments where he flailed at the ball and didn't look strong on the ball. That I would be more worried about that than the goal or him passing the ball to. I can't remember who he passed it to in the middle of the box when it was like, dude, don't do that. Like it just didn't work. But he's your backup goalkeeper. Like, ultimately, it's not.
Here's the larger point I was getting at. There's a difference between, like, I've seen people say things like, "Oh, I guess we don't have depth anymore," and it's like, we weren't just using depth guys. We weren't just bringing in like depth. There's depth guys that you want to be able to rely on for 20 minutes in a game. This was not only all of them at once, but all of them starting and playing most of the game.
No, that's a
So
really
it's
good
like,
point. Depth
I don't know
is
that,
not
like,
changing.
you kind of just have to
Depth is
laugh
not
at a certain
changing
point.
9 players and expecting them
Right.
to be able to play, especially this early in the season. I think actually this was on a
Like,
podcast.
even if it was that, but as subs in the 60th minute, it's still not even that. And this was start.
It's interesting. It was recently on a podcast I listened to, and this is the former analytics guy for Seattle. Seattle was actually one of the first teams that really like kind of cracked open analytics in Major League Soccer, and his name is Robbie Rabanini. He's gone on to do a lot of really great stuff in the space of like understanding, how you build a team and how you work with a team throughout the season. And they did a little study on the Sounders, and they realized that I think the number of players that they could change and not expect a drastic drop off at any given time in the season was 3 to 4. And so
That's
we had 3 starters on our team. We had 3 starters playing today.
And so that was like a very interesting like point to me. And I think it goes honestly across the board. I think you would say like almost any team in the world, you start to change 3 to 4 guys and you're losing a lot. Like you're losing a high level of performance. And yeah, Darren, to your point, like if you had to put like one of those guys in with the starters or 1 or 2 of those guys in with the starters, I think we're talking very differently about the depth versus, hey, all of you guys go out there. You've barely met each other. Let's see what you guys can do.
It doesn't excuse, like, both of these things can be true, right? Like they all played like trash and shouldn't have played like trash, but also it doesn't worry me the way that it might otherwise worry me for future iterations of using our depth.
I just wanted to, we've been slacking on super chats, and so much so that people were commenting that we're slacking on super chats.
Oh my God.
So
with a super chat?
No, they should have. That's why I'm not saying their name out loud. They didn't give us any money. William Lamb, thank you so much for the $1.99. Bummer for LAFC, back-to-back losses to the Sounders. Yeah, this one feels, the last one felt worse because it was the playoffs, but the last one felt like a fluke, right? We had an own goal from Chanot and then a bummer of extra time that shouldn't have happened. This one was a trouncing to our B team. In a game that, like, we said we were comfortable punting, but I don't think we expected. Like, this is such a confidence destroyer that, like, it does worry me for Tuesday. 3-0 in Columbus, and we go to extra time, and then we can't afford anything. 4-0, we're fucked. We just gave up 5 goals, and we don't have two of our starting center backs, which isn't great. But thank you for your $1.99, $2 from Danny Angel. Blame the turf. Show's over. I would love to go outside. It's beautiful out.
Really? Why is he not our producer?
Yeah,
we can't afford it.
Turf took
not enough
down,
people giving us $2 for super.
The irony is, before the turf took Marlon down, it took their DP down.
Yes.
So, which gave us an opening, and instead the opposite happened.
Yeah, it's like Seattle will get 3 points, but both teams are probably like,
both teams feel like
could we not have played that game at all?
Yeah, I feel like both teams would have been fine if we had just forfeited and been like,
right?
You guys can have this one. We'll take the rest and no injuries. And they'd
walk
be
out
like,
the midfield,
yeah, I'd like
hands.
that too. 1-0. Yeah.
We were texting with the Lobbing Scorchers guys, and they said this game's going to end 3-3, and they weren't that far off. Right? It was 5-2, but just as many goals, a little bit more. Efrain Benitez, thank you so much. You always go above and beyond. You don't need to do this. Thank you so much. We're not going to tell you no, though, so thank you. We better go through Tuesday or else. # Dolo out. That's why you give us more, so we have to say Dolo out. If we don't go through Tuesday, I would be happy getting really mad at anyone. Honestly, after this, if we don't go through Tuesday, how are you guys feeling about Tuesday?
Like I said, a lot more pressure on them. Like they have to now show up. You can't drop a shit like that and not like show up in the game when you're up 3-0. But don't forget what they had to do to get up 3-0. That was still an incredible performance, and that was still predicated on a lot of good tactics and a lot of smart game modeling. Like, come on, guys. Like, it's the third game. Come on. Like, what are we doing here? I feel I'm gonna do a 12-man fucking moment. Like, it's too much.
I think the irony of it is just that we just finally had this breakout match that everyone was like, this is the team we were hoping would show up, and it far exceeded those hopes because it was such a beautiful win.
But then you
It's
saw the
just
starting
it's-
lineup, and you really should have
Yeah.
adjusted your expectations.
Yeah.
So maybe we
Oh,
should have done
yeah.
this before the game.
I was expecting a loss when I saw the starting lineup.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
5-2 does not feel the same as a loss, right? It feels like you should never watch this game again. You don't deserve to be in this league, right? Like, I know every team goes through this, but I think what it also does is it reminds us that it's possible to lose Tuesday. Like you said, like there's a shot to the heart there that is terrifying, because it's like,
Well-
oh yeah, games like this can happen.
And we made a deal here that we need to, it's a little bit worse because it costs us an MLS loss that was worth nothing if we don't win.
Yeah.
This is all like hindsight bullshit, right? You'd say you will go back and be like, well, I would have rather had our starters playing against Seattle. It's all not really going to matter. This is all going to come out in the wash. Obviously, we want to win on Tuesday, and that's really important. I don't feel like less confident about Tuesday. I just feel like the pressure's a little bit more. The starters showed that they're more than capable of winning again on Tuesday, at the very least winning on aggregate. I'm excited for Tuesday. I'm not excited for any other game where Cherundolo feels the need to start all of these backups all at once. I don't know how many times that's going to happen. Do you feel like the situation we were in today is something that we'll see? The situation that triggered the decision to start that many backups, do you feel like we'll be in that position that many more times this season?
And there's fixture congestion, but I think, yeah, if you're the coaching staff, you have to look at it and take some responsibility in hindsight and say, like, okay, maybe we had a little bit too much confidence in the amount of guys we could change at once, and we have to get a little bit smarter in how we do that. But again, it's very hard to make an apples to apples comparison on the team that we saw against Columbus and then this team, because of just the everything going on, and the amount of changes, the change in formation, and then some credit to the Sounders. Like they played a pretty good game, like for the changes that they had to make. Like, and they had a pretty good game plan too. I mean, we can talk a little bit about like what they were doing. Like LAFC, despite having 5 defenders in the back, like the way that the Sounders kind of picked up spaces and basically asked the question of those outside center backs, like, are you going to stick with Ferreira and Rusnak, or are you going to stay back and then allow them to easily receive the ball, turn around and look up and have their head up? Like they positioned themselves in spots that gave LAFC trouble. I thought LAFC got a little bit better at it with the addition of Marlon on the field, but then to Travis's point, Marlon comes off and it really comes off the rails there.
One more super chat from Adam, $4.99. After today's loss, I need a serious pick-me-up. Vince, can you tell us that you love us?
Come on.
Vince, he paid us $5, $2.50 of that goes
now
to
it's like,
YouTube.
this is the worst time to do it.
Right?
We need it. We need it. When someone dies, you say how you feel. And you know who died today? Yaya Boa.
Possibly.
A lot of hope died today.
There was something, thank you so much for the super chat. There was something that we said too in the preview episode that was very foreshadowing for this, where we were being really optimistic. And we're like, well, every time we're this optimistic, we get punched in the mouth. And I hope we don't lose Columbus. And you goes, no, we have Seattle to worry about. And we could be sad during that post game. And guess what? Look at us now, baby.
We did it. Mission accomplished. We did it. It's giving last season. Should we get to some callers?
Giving 2 games ago. Yeah.
Well, the up and down. You need the up first to get to the down.
Yeah, we're all in blue today. Did you notice that?
Oh.
Yeah, what is up with that?
It's a lighting thing for me. This is technically like a mint
All right.
green.
Yeah, our shirt is kind of green.
Yeah.
Mine's blue. Well, let's get to the callers. People have been waiting.
Yeah. Well done.
Justin W., take yourself off mute and you're on the show.
Welcome to the show. Any happy
Hey,
feet or sad feet from this incredible match?
Happy feet. I took your guys' advice. I went outside. It's beautiful. You're right.
It
All
is
Made me feel
right.
great.
a
Out.
lot better. Made me feel a lot
Okay.
better. Sad foot is I'm gonna kind of disagree and push back a little bit on the whole idea of depth. Um, Not one guy that played today makes me feel comfortable of them going in, even with starters. Um, Yaboa, I don't want to talk about Yaboa. You guys said enough. I don't ever want to see him again. I wouldn't be mad at it. I don't think he wants to see himself again. Like, it's bad when he doesn't even like blame anyone else for the goals. He doesn't even look around. He just puts his head down, walks away. That was atrocious. That might be the worst defending I think I've seen since at least 2021, right? Because we were pretty bad that year. But again, Smolyakov, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's his first start. But again, he doesn't look any better than Hollingshead, which is pretty not good because he's an under 22. And we've been talking about Hollingshead possibly might be washed the last 2 seasons. And I'm not going to say he's washed, but we need someone to give him some competition. I don't feel comfortable with Smolyakov playing on Tuesday after today. Midfield depth, we don't have anyone to go into the midfield. I mean, like Saldana should not be starting for us. He should be the 5th guy off the bench.
Well,
and
Tillman
have to
didn't even
rely.
travel.
No, I understand, and I get it. Well, that's what I mean by the depth.
And
Who's
I
gonna
actually
go in
thought,
for
wait,
him?
did you think Saldana was bad?
No, I'm not saying he's bad, but he shouldn't be starting for us. And I get Holmes is hurt, and I get Tillman's hurt, but that goes towards the depth. There's no one to replace them. We only have 3 midfielders that were healthy for 3 spots. And that's what I kind of mean by the depth. Like, yeah, we have plenty of guys up top, up forward, but like I don't know. I feel like we're just missing a few bodies, and today it kind of showed it.
I hear
just
you.
Competent players, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I hear you. I mean, it's hard to argue against it after the result. I feel like there's if there was not that illness where we must assume that they're just both shitting violently. I do wonder if this feels a little different, right? If we
keep bringing it up so much, it makes me think that you really want to visualize it for some reason.
Oh, why am I imagining Timothy Tillman? Never mind. Listen, I think there's an argument there of like, do we ever want to see this combination of people on the field together again? No.
Of course not.
We've luckily built up a buffer where we won our first 2 MLS matches, where this one hurts slightly less, but it still sucks. But I know, Vince, you were going to push back a little bit on him, and I wanted you to, be the one who gets. I want to be the nice one who agrees. You could be the mean one.
Of course. No, I mean,
under the bus is our favorite.
I thought
here.
I thought Saldana was good. And look, in the comments, Lindsay Moss makes a good point. Saldana is an upgrade from Duenas, and that's the roster spot he's taking. Ultimately, it's that. So that's why when we're talking about this, we're kind of hedging back and forth, because we're like, how much of this is the fact that they had to rotate plus the amount of rotations? Like it's hard. I think it's hard to take a lot of like overarching lessons from this, and that's what I kind of pushed back on initially. Was like, yeah, you can say like this guy was bad, that guy was bad, this whole game was bad, but I don't know, to Darren's point, how many more times we're going to see a full squad turnover like this and have to worry about it. Like ultimately, when LAFC, when the season gets going and there's not fixture congestion or in the playoffs, things like that, like I wouldn't imagine a world in which a playoff game, they're like, okay, well, we're going to have 2 regular starters in and we're going to go with, 10 different guys. Let's see what we can do today. So,
I would say we should expect that. We should go to the next couple of rounds of this tournament. Nations League's coming up. We should be going far in that, so we should be calling for rotations. Now, again, as much as 9 starters, no chance, right? Of course, hopefully we won't do that again. But what I'm ultimately trying to say is, today made me feel a lot less comfortable going forward. I don't think we have anyone on the bench that are good enough to kind of solidify the bench. I don't think we have players that we think we have. We don't have a backup goalie that showed us that today. Hassal just couldn't grab the ball on corners. He couldn't really do much of anything. Again, our outside wing backs, not good at all. I mean, Smolyakov, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, like I said. But Yaboa was just horrendous. He doesn't give me any hope. Like, play him up top, I guess, but he didn't do anything up there. Play him in the midfield, I guess. He didn't do anything there either. Our Jiroud, I don't want to talk about Jiroud. I don't want to be that guy to bring him up, but like he's now our backup and he's not really doing much. Hopefully Ordaz keeps it up, but if it wasn't for Ordaz, like everything would kind of look kind of worse. I don't know. I don't want to be super pessimistic, but It's kind of hard. Not
Well,
to
you
be
are
like these
being
5-2.
super pessimistic, Justin. I need you to know that. This has been one of the worst calls we've ever got. I don't mean in quality. I mean in negativity. Like, it feels bad to hear you say the words you're saying. And I love everything you're saying. It is just hurtful to me. And I want you to know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but again, I don't know if you guys remember, but I called, I think the middle of last season.
This is
and
your
I
first time
complained.
calling.
Yeah, always your first time. But I called again like months ago. And I asked like, hey, what is JT doing? And I get it. He's signing all these players. He's super busy and all that. And I get McGinnis is here. But I've had this argument with other friends and stuff where it's like we should be. Again, I don't want to sound sour grapes because I know we made 2 finals, yada yada. We're really good. I get it. But I feel like we're always just playing catch up. And this is the first time where we've been proactive and we finally have our 3 DPs. But it's just something's still missing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because we didn't see the 3rd DP today, or
Can I ask you a question? And then I'm going to have to let you go because we have a couple of other callers.
For sure.
If we win on Tuesday or we move on Tuesday, do you still feel this way?
I do feel on Tuesday because I should say who goes in, like who subs in for us. Like let's say it's a 2-2 draw, 1-1 draw, 1-0 win, whatever it is. It's how many of our players are being subbed out. And where are they going? Because my biggest issue is the midfield. We just don't have anyone in our midfield. We have 3.
Well, we have Home coming back. We have Tillman, and we're about and hopefully we have Griezmann coming in.
But what I'm trying to say is you're always going to have players out, and we have no one to replace them. And I get it. Because
they did that against. They did less rotation against NYCFC. Yes, it wasn't the most exciting game, but they literally just clamped down on that team completely. Then Steve made a couple of subs, and they won that game.
We do. I do want to move on to other callers though, because I'm thankful that you called in, but we got other people waiting. I appreciate it, Justin.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
Talk to you soon. And please call back. I didn't say that. I just want to get to other people.
No, Travis hates you.
You're
now
Daniel,
number 1 on the list.
I love Daniel and I hate Justin. That's the
list. This is what people don't understand. This is not a list set in stone. Travis has like you can't see it, but
there's always danger.
Just off to the side of that tapestry is a running rankings of callers. Darren and I have been privy to it. You guys will never see it.
It's a power ranking.
The players are black and white. The colors can't be any different.
But just know that, when you hear Travis's tone or the way he talks to you, it may mean you're going either up or down in the rankings.
It's shifting around. And when I tell you I treat the number 1 power caller different, I do. I just do. I send them money. I send them gifts. And
really nice handwritten cards.
Vince actually says that he loves them. Vince texts them that he loves them.
Yeah, personally. I call them and just whisper into the phone.
Please welcome to the show, G-Dub. G-Dub, any happy feet or sad feet from that beautiful match?
Yeah, I want to try and be a little bit less negative, be more positive. I think all things considered, we played really well with only 10 men on the field. I think...
Wait, who are you saying is not on the field?
Well, there was this missing spot where the number 9 should be.
Oh,
I don't know why we didn't put anybody in there, but...
A ghost.
I think we did pretty good.
There was somebody with a pulse.
How do you say ghost in France?
Le Gust.
Giroud.
All right.
Giroud.
I actually don't know that. I love when people ask about French words and then you just guess, and like 50% of the time it turns out right.
Yeah. Tom Boger. I always like saying Tom Bogert's name in French. Any other happy feet or sad feet?
Sad foot, Marlon. That's just like that kind of injury that happens that way is just that makes me nervous, especially with like how shaky some people have been in the back. I like Segura. I always feel bad for him because everyone loves to crap on him, but there's a reason. He just really is a nervy player to watch. Sometimes he's successful, but the way he's successful just makes you like clench really hard. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer, but that's my feedback is like, I mean, everyone's been talking about it. This is a weird lineup. We're more focused on Tuesday. I get it. It was not a fun game to watch. That's like my number 1 criteria, like you can lose in a way where at least that was an exciting game. And I felt like stuff was happening. And this was just kind of like, oops, and there's another oops and a oops,
Yeah.
100%. And I think we talked about that earlier too. It's like these losses or these wins early in the season also did not feel fun. And so then to get a unfun loss is a double whammy.
That was the only one left.
Yeah, we had hit all of them. No, we have an unfun win, a fun win, unfun loss.
It was kind of
we did have a fun loss. You're right. We had a fun loss. Now we need some ties. G-Dub, thank you so much for calling in. That was a very, very good point. Call again, please.
All right.
LAFC Luke, welcome to the show. Oh, wait, hold on, Luke. I'm going to send you away real quick. We had a super chat, and I just want to do it. Matt Williams, thank you so much for the super chat. Is a Jiroud buyout legitimately on the table at this point, especially if Under hits? I don't know, Vince. You tell me. You know how these things work. My guess is no. You don't want it that like looks bad on the world stage.
Yeah, they have the possibility of it. I think a lot of it would depend on the player. Like if Jiroud were to go to John and be like, guys, you're seeing what I'm seeing, right? Like I just don't have it and I'm not happy. Is there any way we can change the situation? I still think there's a world in which somebody actually bites on Jiroud more than like you need a buyout. Like you could just find a way to like send him to France, like loan him to France or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Travis, to your point, like it's no player wants to be bought out. Like it's not a good sign for your career. So I don't think that that's something they're actively looking into, but yes, but they do have the flexibility to do it if they had to.
My gut says they're also hoping that they can get Griezmann and Griezmann can deliver to Giroud in ways that our midfield currently can't, right? Like it just feels like we're unable to find him in the places he needs to be. But as time goes on, it's clear that he can adjust his game to the way that we need him to adjust it. So we're worse when he's out there.
Well, the team hasn't completely adjusted the other way too. I don't think they need to go fully all in on, playing just for Giroud.
Yeah.
But we have talked about this in previous episodes. We would like to see the team play in a way that they can break down teams when they have the ball in the offensive third. And to your point, if they get Antoine Griezmann-like character, and those midfielders are able to kind of position themselves in a way where they're just recycling the ball back to that creative player, then maybe that does unlock Giroud. But yeah, there's a give and take a little bit both ways. They pointed that out a little bit in the broadcast, although I would say they weren't really fair to Giroud when they were like, yeah, he should just get younger. Like
the announcing tonight was insufferable.
Yeah, the announcing was rough. But I sorry to interrupt, Travis. I was going to say there were a few moments this match where Giroud really put on display, like he was excessively slow.
Yeah. Oh, he looks in a bad mood. And I generally try not to comment on like players' body language and things, but like Darren, to your point, like you pointed out a few times, you were like, that's like the guy pretending he's running.
We're like performative jogging.
Yeah. Like if you're on stage and you were like, oh, I'm jogging in place, that's basically what he was doing, but he was moving just a little bit. So
it's like when a ball goes long and you have to like run and grab it because it went past you and you're like, oh, better go get it. That was how he was running.
And he was complaining a lot. Like he seemed very unhappy, which, I mean, I guess you can't blame him.
Yeah, I'm unhappy talking about him, so I get it. Okay, we have another super chat, but I cut off Luke, so I'm going to make everyone unhappy and now bring Luke back on. Luke, welcome to the show. Any happy feet or sad feet? For this
make everyone unhappy and bring Luke back on the show. Thank you.
That's not what I meant.
Luke made it to the top of the list. Travis hates Luke now.
The French word for ghost is fantôme. So
that's great. The Phantom, Olivier Giroud.
Makes sense.
The Phantom of the match is here.
The Phantom of BMO. The Phantom of the bank.
Yeah, that game sucked.
Man.
But I feel like we kind of knew that when we saw the lineup. It was like, oh, I don't recognize half these people. Like, these are people we've had on our squad. I mean, we had to figure out like who's Saldana, like what's happening here. So like, am I surprised? No. I think we had hopes that like, oh, we can keep this, this run going now that we've had a few games. But, I just want to remind everyone that our first away game last year was that game in Salt Lake that we lost 3-0. And we were all like, oh God, Hugo Lloris is terrible. Hugo Lloris is terrible. And our next away game was up in Colorado where we led twice and still lost that game. And Martinez went out on a red card. I just want to remind folks, like,
he had a great goal in that game too, though.
He had a great goal in that game. But like,
Is that the T?
Take a deep fucking breath, y'all. It's a long season. There's still 31 games to go in the regular season. And I mean, I looked at this and I saw that lineup and I was like, we're playing for Tuesday. Like literally, it's like Steve is not taking any chances, even with the three goal lead going into the second leg in Columbus. This is all about holding the fort down for Tuesday and getting us through to play against Miami. That's what I saw. But of course, that also means that if that's our approach, then if we do get through and we're playing in Miami, we're seeing more of this kind of thing for a few more weeks. So,
but maybe
buckle up.
Maybe not to this extent.
Maybe not as much. And we said that earlier. Like one, it's in hindsight you go like, "Oops, that was bad. We can't change that many guys in this team." But I think also to your point, Luke, we're so early in the season that you're not gonna load up guys with this many games. So they had to like they were. I mean, and you saw Marlon was the case in point. Like that's what happens. Guys are playing too many games in an early part of the season when their fitness is still not at an actual peak. But the further along you get, I think the more, I don't want to call them risks, but the more assessments you make where you go like, okay, that guy's played a lot of minutes, but I think he can go and we don't have to worry about him as much.
Yeah.
There's something. Go ahead, Luke.
Go ahead.
No, you said something, Luke, about just like holding on for Tuesday. And I think one optimistic way to look at this, yes, it could be a confidence shaker going into that game, but it also can remind players that they need to still play really fucking hard, that we can't just give up and wait for the win to come to us. And I think like, especially because it was players who weren't out there and some even that were like Bouanga was non-existent this game. I just feel like it could possibly work the other way where it's a nice reminder that we have to we're not going to be gifted a win just because we're talented. We need to work for it. And hopefully that'll translate on Tuesday to something that feels more professional than what we just watched, which felt like people who also didn't want to be playing at 1:45 because it's a stupid kickoff time.
I mean,
yeah, the game shouldn't have ended. Right. We are an hour early. And after the time change.
Oh, yeah. We lose an hour tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, everyone, set your clocks forward an hour tonight. Don't forget. Look, I don't have really like a happy foot or sad foot because it mostly just sucked. The game just sucked. Hassal was not great. That's my best, most charitable way to say it. I
He'll
think
take
that.
Seattle's goal. I also do think that Seattle's second goal should not have stood. Ferreira was definitely interfering both in terms of the sight lines and holding a defender back from an offside position, and that was bullshit that goal stood. But it's not like it would have changed the outcome of the game.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think that one stands on the if it's cool, it counts rule. That needs to work both ways. Yeah, for sure. Look, I'm only going to be worried if we come out on Tuesday and lay an egg. Then I'll be worried. But right now, I'm like, all right, let's see what happens Tuesday. Let's just everyone take a deep breath. It's a long season. It doesn't end until mid-fucking October. Like, we got a long way to go. So, I mean, if everyone's still thinking about this game come August or September, we got problems.
The hope is that this is the game we look back on and go, that was a low point, right? Like, that's the 5-1.
That was funny.
Yeah.
No, I think we're all gonna be like, okay, that was weird. I don't even think we're gonna be like, that was a low, like that was weird. Like, who did we even start? Like, I don't even know if any of these guys are gonna be with us at the mid-season. Like, I mean, who knows what's gonna happen in terms of trades and things.
Well, now,
my biggest concern
after today.
Hey, Luke, I just want to say you made me feel a little bit better.
My biggest concern coming out of this is just the goal differential, because that's the thing that we got over the hump with when we were at the end of last season, and we gave up a -3 goal differential today, and that sucks.
Do we have negative goal differential now?
Probably.
We are. We're -1.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you made me feel better until that moment, Vince or Luke. So thank you so much. Thanks for calling. We'll try to chat with you soon.
Thanks, Luke.
We had one other super chat while we were right before Luke, and that was from Adam. Adam, thank you for the super chat. LAFC is not the same team. Not the same team away. No punctuation. They had 2 consecutive home games to start the 2025 season.
Travis hates Adam.
literally not the same team away. They made 9 changes.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to do like I feel like.
Well, hold on. Go ahead, Derek.
I was gonna say we need to like make sure the context is clear here, right? Like there is not. You can decide whether or not you're worried for the team as a whole because of this performance. That's fine. I think it's also okay to acknowledge within the context of what you were hoping for in a game with expectations properly set, you can still be like, oh, I was really hoping for a lot more than that. Even if you were hoping for like a loss by 1.
It shouldn't have ended 5-2. That's totally fair. Like it shouldn't have ended 5-2. Like, and some of those players walking off that field should be asking some real questions of themselves, because that's not a 2-1, 3-1 even. Fine. 5-2. It was a little ridiculous. But
and those aren't conflicting. I think we're like both us and in the chat, it's like people are trying to argue with arguments that are not conflicting.
Right. I do also want to say, though, that there are starters on our team that played in the second half that played poorly, right? Hollingshead got beaten consistently on that side. Bawanga was non-existent during that game. It just was we have been talking about the rotation players, but none of the players showed up. And it just feels like they gave up by the time a lot of those players came on.
They probably did.
To Bawanga, I wonder if this is why he just plays all the time. There are some players that like they just can't come off the bench, and he just seems like one of those where like you look at him and say like, hey man, maybe it would be good for you to rest like a little bit, and then you can run against tired legs. Maybe this is why he doesn't. Like it just was not good.
Also, I don't want to put too much stock in individual performances. Like it's a team and it's a game plan and it's a system and it's chemistry, and that was never going to be part of the equation today. So I was hoping, what I was actually hoping for, I was saying about context, like what I was actually hoping for is like maybe we lose by 1 and we notice some of the guys that are sitting on the bench have a lot of potential, and they'll be really useful tools moving forward. Like that would have been like the best, and no injuries. That would have been like the best case scenario that I was imagining.
Why is the fake Luis Mueller asking us to buy him beer? Do you guys know?
Underage.
No, he's not. He's 24 years old. He came to the team very old. That's why he dominated in LAFC 2, because he was basically a man playing against boys.
He's basically a man.
Well, I don't know if he has the money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Knowing those LAFC 2 contracts, can we Venmo Luis Miller?
Everybody Venmo Luis Miller.
How's my boy Tommy Musto doing? I wish I was.
Didn't he join Galaxy too?
Yeah, he left. I wish he was still on our team so we could make a thing where, you know how he yells mustard? We have Kendrick Lamar yell Musto. I think that would have been good.
Yeah, if we can't have depth, we at least make it someone.
At least have it Tommy Musto.
A name.
And like I want to like Nkosi Tafari, and he was part of this, and now I can't say anything nice about him. All right, Daniel. You've been waiting for a while. Let's let you on. Daniel, any happy feet or sad feet from the match?
First, I want to get the only happy feet out of the way. At least David Martinez, we got a goal for him. He's been trying these last couple games. Now off to the sad foot.
Well, I want to say I noticed you didn't call in when we won by a lot, and here you are now with a loss.
Look, Travis. I'm an asshole, but I try to be charitable, so I try to let other colors have the spotlight because I do hog it up with Jeff.
You don't hog it up. Thank you.
But getting to the sad feats, the ultimate sad feat is confession. I was actually on the shitter as Nathan Ardaz scored that first goal.
That's tough.
That's tough. That is rough.
He scored a sitter. You were on the shitter.
Yes. But
new sad foot.
Second sad foot is
we're 45 minutes into the show with jokes like that.
Yeah.
Second sad foot. That was obviously a bad game. Third feet. I'm finally out on Jiroud. Today was the game that he could have scored. His bum ass was on the bench these last couple games, and he didn't. He was absolutely useless. But overall, despite all that, I wish they could have tried a tad bit harder. But I kind of saw this coming. I was kind of like, meh. All right, we have a bigger game on Tuesday, and it was kind of obvious. So when I saw the lineup, oh yeah, we might get run over today. I just wish we could have just cut the deficit by 1 goal, not 5 goals, just 4-2, make it a little bit more respectable.
I would have been fine with 4-2. Yeah.
Yes.
Not fine, but it feels different, right?
You could just tell the guys weren't in it today. It was just like, these guys are just doing a normal scrimmage workout. You can tell even Bwanga was non-existent, so I'm not worried. The big match is going to be on Tuesday. I think that's going to be an important game. I'm just not worried today. It's just I mean, I hope I don't see that goalkeeper on the field again. But yeah, so yeah, I'm like it was going to happen. So I just too bad. I missed the Ordaz goal.
Well, luckily, it's the only positive replay from the match. Thank you for calling in, Daniel. We love you, and you're never hogging space. Thanks for being here. Look, this is a bad way to spend all of our Saturday afternoons. I'm glad we're in it together. It's a long season. Luke did make me feel a little bit better by reminding me where we were last season. We still have 6 points.
Still a better start, for sure.
I also do. I feel like we negated that away comment quickly. And I do think we struggle in climates that are more extreme, right? I'm not saying it was crazy weather in Seattle today, but we seem to do really well in climates that are temperate. And then when we go to really hot areas or really cold areas, not as great. But Seattle, I guess, was temperate today, so that doesn't really stand.
Is that a bias of us only looking at our team, though? The way you phrase it, think about that. We seem to only do well in climates that are good for us, but when it's really hot, we don't do as well. I have a feeling that there's a lot of teams when they go to different areas where they're not used to struggle. And in a way, and playing away.
Well, that's not true though. If the New England Revolution play well in the snow, they're not going to struggle in 70-degree LA weather.
No, but they'll probably struggle when they go to Houston. I mean,
that's true. That's true. Okay, I understand.
You know what I mean? But the bigger point is, playing away in this league is difficult, and really what separates the elite supporter shield winning teams from just the good teams is getting points away. However, it doesn't necessarily matter in the playoffs as long as you're playing, as long as you get to a point where you play at home, right? So MLS is its own interesting, unique thing. But I don't know. I don't take too much from people being like, you don't play very well away, and be like, yeah, most MLS teams don't.
I just want to bring up commenter Tony, who has only commented yes, +1, and wow. This has to be a bot, right? This has to be a not real person who's just saying yes, +1, bot. And wow. Tony, yes.
+1 from me Tony. To Tony.
Tony, if you're real, please type in I'm a real person and not a bot. Indy did not make the road trip. I think that's worth thinking about.
Yeah. Someone look into that. I hope someone asked in the post game, Steve, you bring these guys and you had to leave Tillman at home. There was a seat on the plane and you didn't think to bring maybe the most important character on this LAFC side, Indy. I mean, real questions. See, people get on at us, but remember, guys, we are not in those post games. We're here entertaining you guys. So it's the rest of the journalists that are cowards.
I have a question. Would you guys want us to play some of that as it's going live while we talk, if we're able to, or do you want to just hear us talk? Because I feel like a lot of the times they say redundant shit all the time, and the big quotes will pop out. But if you want to hear some of it, we might be able to play some of it. Tony unable to say what I needed him to say, so I don't think he's a real person.
I think they should change it so that the press conferences are just people coming onto our show as guests.
Oh,
great idea.
Actually,
we should just host the press conferences.
I mean, press conferences are kind of bogus and lame anyways. That would be an interesting.
Right? Why not just do some fun?
Although the flip to that is that's a lot of pressure now. I don't know.
For who?
For us.
Yeah, we're gonna roast them.
No, we're gonna kill them.
That's pressure for them, man. Okay, can I ask you guys something? Who is there one player now when you need to sub someone in, judging by their performance in this match, who's the guy you can rely on most in this context?
I thought Saldana was good. I'm not too worried about him.
That's good.
Ultimately, It looks like Eddie's probably going to start on Tuesday, so get ready for that.
Cool.
He hasn't been.
I know
he hasn't been as bad as people say, and honestly, like he was. It sucks because he was in general proximity of some of the goals, but really it was Yeboah's defending that hung him out to dry.
I think our was it our first caller? I think put it really well. It was like it's not necessarily that he is making mistakes all the time. It's that like the way he plays for whatever reason it is, it just kind of makes you like nervous. And he'll like, pull it out, and you still felt nervous when he's doing the right thing.
He's got one big mistake a game, I think we've said, right? Like we always know it's coming.
It's a Murillo thing.
I have some sympathy for him for two reasons. One, he's just the coolest, nicest person. He's like Ilie level nice. He is a really sweet guy. But two, remember, he did his ACL twice, and he was always a player that wasn't really about pace and speed. He was more about reading the game. But now that you do your ACL, like he's probably seeing the game and just really can't keep up with it at the same level that he used to. Like, I don't know if you ever get accustomed to being like, oh, I'm just this half step behind where I was before, and I'm not as physically strong as I used to be. Literally just playing. The fact that he's literally playing after what he went through with his knee is almost a miracle in its own right, to be honest.
I have a question. Sure. Is Marlon injury prone? I think we mentioned something about that last year.
He did fail a medical, and that was the reason why he was available. We don't know what aspect of the medical he failed, so it's hard to say. But yeah, he isn't a player that he is a player that has had injury concerns.
Well, I have concerns about his injuries as well. I think like Marlon and Martinez are the two things we could take away from this when we get rid of all of the other bullshit. Marlon, who's been playing great, we suddenly might not have access to for a bit. What does our back line look like going into Tuesday, where we have to stop them from scoring 3 goals? And Martinez showed us who he can be, right? In that one moment, we were reminded why he was such a high caliber recruit and why we were lucky to get him. Would love to see more of that. And honestly, the Ordaz Martinez battle for starting position.
I was just about to say, if you're looking at that like it's a
with Undur now
got more interesting.
Available.
Yeah, with Undur
now available. Like that's awesome. One thing that I looked at during the game, but it was hard to gauge because of the way the game went kind of apeshit after Marlon came off, was Martinez was playing in midfield. Like for all those people that want like a 10, that's a 10. He was actually playing in the position you kind of want him, and we weren't really able to find him much. And he honestly, I was watching him closely because I was just kind of trying to see like, is it LAFC's playing style or is it him? He didn't seem to understand where his starting spots were, because there was a lot of times he was kind of standing there looking for the ball, and it was like, yeah, there's a guy right next to you. Move. Like, get out of the way. Like, there's a guy blocking the passing lane. Get out of the way. And so he was kind of just chasing the game. But very interesting. Very good point about between Undur, Ordaz, and Martinez all in that spot. Like, that's going to be very interesting the way that they deal with that.
All right. I think we could go enjoy our Saturdays, huh? We talked about that dog shit for long enough.
Yeah, about time.
Look, it means a lot. You guys always come hang out with us. The numbers keep growing, and it's so fun to hang out in the chat, even after games like this. It makes me feel better to have a community where we can complain with. So keep hanging out. If you don't subscribe, please consider subscribing. The button's right below us where we're talking. Hit the button that says subscribe, and it's free.
Subscribe.
And then we're trying to get to 1,000. We're over 900 now. Let's try. Let's see if we can get there by May.
Tomorrow?
Can we do it by May? That seems possible.
That's fair, I think.
Yeah, let's see if we tell your friends that are LAFC fans that you like listening to us. I feel like that's the best thing you could do to help us out. And then if you want to throw us a couple bucks, so go over to patreon.com/happyfootsadfoot.
When you're at the tailgate and you're talking to people and they're like, hey man, what do you listen to? Oh, I listen to Happy Foot Sadfoot. Maybe do that, because you would be surprised the amount of people that run into us and go like, who are you? And we tell them, like, I've never heard of
110.
Yeah, I don't do that. That's for sure.
I feel like it just means a lot that you guys keep hanging out, and it's been fun to watch this grow. So, spread the word. Thank you. And if you want to keep this sadness in the chat going, the Discord for Patreon subscribers is a fun place to keep chatting. So that happens 24 hours a day. Talk with me in bed if you want. All right, that's enough. Let's go. Everyone go have a nice dinner. Take a shower to wash this off. Have a nice dinner. Go have a
Shower's a
glass
great
of
idea.
wine and have yourself a Saturday, huh? Thank you for listening. We'll see you on Tuesday. I love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.